Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we are going to take a look at the VR headset that Ainz Ooal Gown and pretty much everyone else in Nazarick used, back when all of them were in the old world and just humans. Which you might have already known is a collapsing dystopia. But before we are going to take a look at all of this, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. Now, the old world, that is Earth in the year of 2138, is rotten. Literally rotten. The air is toxic, the water poisonous, work is hard, life is short, and only the magic of VR technology offers a mental escape from all of this misery. And as someone who already tried to move to the internet, I absolutely adore this particularly spicy access to catgirls. And while this last sentence was part humor and part confession, it also describes why VR headsets in the 22nd century are so extremely popular. It, as previously mentioned, offers escape from a bleak reality. But aside from toxic air, toxic soil and toxic work-life balance, the VR headset in and of itself is quite ingenious. And it explains why Ainz Ooal Gown had so little problems with adapting to the new world, despite him being just a normal office worker. And while at this point nearly half of all Japanese office workers have been isekai'd, and while the other half will soon follow, it is nonetheless quite challenging to switch from cleaning up Excel sheets and helping a colleague restoring the entire internet after they accidentally deleted Chrome, to cleaning up streets from crime, purging the countryside of monsters, and being restored back to life after someone accidentally hit you in the back with like 5 arrows and the bow. Sitting in front of your PC all day doesn't quite prepare you for something as traumatic as fighting brutal life and death battles on a daily basis against horrible monsters. And while this emotional impact is mitigated by Ainz Ooal Gown's emotional inertia, the VR headset comes into play and delivers the physical part, since it has simulated, as you might have guessed, a virtual reality where one can move, fight, and even feel in a tri-dimensional space, thus making combat in Yggdrasil roughly the same as combat in the New World, despite of all the differences. And according to the web novel, it has been developed at the end of the 21st century for military and then later medical purposes. But due to mounting costs, a citizen-grade version had been created, and while it was still very expensive, at least one could eventually afford one. And thus in the end vast revenue and profit streams were created from the VR headset, which brings us to the next aspect, or rather question: how does it work? Well, it is technology more than 100 years ahead of our own, so a good shot of science fiction is integrated into its mechanics. But at its core, it has a neural interface that connects at the neck, presumably above the nerves responsible for controlling heart and lung functions, in order to avoid complications, but otherwise every other nerve can be linked and therefore addressed and activated. But this link is just an exit port, and one with limited bandwidth. The real computing activity is done by the brain itself, or rather the nanomachines that one has to inject into their system in order for the entire interface and of course Yggdrasil Online to work, as well as any other dive MMORPG. Once they're activated, they likely stimulate the nerve endings, and thus they can simulate a completely realistic world, including a sense of touch, sound, and of course vision, though the vision part is also in part done by the helmet, or rather the VR headset, which projects optic information directly into the brain. And while this sounds as sci-fi as the rest of it, the reverse has actually been accomplished during the short time span between the release of the web novel and today. And down in the description you will find a link to a VR headset enthusiast who controls his PC in part just by focusing on it. The only thing that the headset can't provide is a sense of smell, which is likely due to the fact that the olfactory nerves, aka the nerves of smelling, are not directly linked with the other nerves, so tasting and smelling wouldn't work in Yggdrasil, which, considering that the undead hordes of Nazarick have likely a very distinct smell of their very own, it's probably for the best. And lastly, just like every other piece of hardware and software, it can and also has been hacked. For example, to use the computing power of the nano-machines linked brains for devious purposes. Perhaps to create a human botnet and then use the computing power of it to crack open quantum-resistant encryption or something like that. So anyway, welcome to the metaverse. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Ben C, Bad Guy Yee, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Dystopia the Second, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Michael R, Michael Y, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantom, Personage, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.